I haven't been on for ages, have I? It's that whole summer holiday thing, isn't it? So I thought I would show you my Jackson's order because there's some new things in there and there's some of my staples and I thought you might like to see them. Also a quick whiz around the studio. So what can we see? Oh, my massive chair. I've got this painting here, which I was working on just before we went to Scotland. Which is a bit of a peach, this one, I think. I really like it. And then I have these paintings over here. That's actually our local walk. And then this Scottish painting here that's not quite done yet. There needs to be some more lightness, I think, in the sky here. But maybe not. There's something weird going on here that I need to do something about. Sketchbook lying on the floor. And that's ready for these paintings to start over here. And I've just been diving into my box of colours. And I'm playing around with this colour palette here at the moment. So I'll just switch you around and then you can have a look in my box of tricks with me. This is a staple of mine, the Naples Yellow. I find that it's only really this colour that I think is the true Naples Yellow. I have bought so many other brands. I like this one, which is nice and cheap, but it doesn't have the purity in the pigments that the artist quality one does, so I don't compromise on Naples Yellow. Pipettes I use lots of. I wish they weren't plastic. I wish there was an alternative. There isn't. I reuse and recycle them until basically I kill them. So I do my best there. I bought some new colours because green is a tricky colour. I have no idea whether I'm going to like these or not, so who knows, we'll see. They're probably good for mixing greens, but I wouldn't be using them straight out of the tub. Ooh, this is quite exciting. This is an interesting one because I usually use this type of green in an ink, so I don't usually have the thickness for it for any impasto work. So that'll be interesting. And then this one, I may well use and tone it down in my colour palette here, or I might go a bit mad with that colour too. So yeah, that'll be interesting. And then white ink, I go through like nobody's business. You can recycle glass bottles, so I'm very happy about that. And then this green, which looks horrible until you shake it. And it's lovely, and that's a sap green, so I use quite a lot of sap green in my work as well. Prussian blue and Payne's grey. Love Prussian blue. It's like such a brilliant friend for mixing. So it's like there's tons of inks, tons. I mean, you know, this is not that many. Look, this is not that many inks for me in an order. Would you believe? It's a lot of ink. And then even more ink, and then I bought some new colours. Oh, this is good if you want a mixing white. That Amsterdam, I like the fact it comes in a big tub because I can plonk my palette knife in it, and then you don't have to worry about squeezing the last bit out. You can scrape it out because there's nothing more annoying than that. I have no idea what's in this box here. Ah, okay. So that's another staple of mine, which is a really good mixing Naples Yellow light. If you've come on any of my courses, excuse my disgusting fingernails. If you've come on any of my courses, you'll know that I use that as a mixing colour. It's good for skies too, because you don't have to faff around mixing an off-white. And then, ooh, I have no idea Rose Madder I have been meaning to buy for years. My sister told me about it. I've never bought it. I think this is Jackson's, yeah. Jackson make. Oh, and I bought it twice. Oops. That was clever, Mel. So I've bought Rose Madder twice. Let's pretend that's a test to see which one I like the best. Idiot. And then this is a blue. So this is a Cerulean Blue, which again I usually get in ink rather than in paint. That's a big tube, isn't it? That's cool. Wonder why I ordered that much. Maybe it was cheap. Whoops. And then, don't say it's Rose Madder again. No, it's not. No, phew. It's Mars Red, which again I buy this in ink. So I've started to buy some of the colours that I buy in ink in acrylic and just try out different brands and see what they're like, because I tend to stick to what I know. So that would be really interesting. As you can see, dun, dun, dun. It's not bad for some of these colours here. I'm really tempted to get these Rose Madders out. Right, hang on a minute, I'll put you down for a minute and we'll have a look at the colours. So I've just got these out to have a little look at them. So these are the different Rose Madders. This is the Jackson's one, and this is a name I can't pronounce. I'm not even going to try. I'm really bad with pronunciation. Interestingly, they look sort of the same. It's on my finger. Can you see that this one here has a different viscosity? This one is much thicker on application. It feels a bit more silky, which is interesting. This one you can see is acting a little bit more like ink. It's actually sinking into the surface, and it's slightly duller. I don't know if the camera can pick that up. So that might be a good mixing against this one. Don't know. And then the Mars Red I'm not that impressed by because it's not particularly red, but actually it might mix quite well. That's quite nice together. It might mix quite well with this red, but it needs, really Mars Red should be more intense than that. That's too brown, she says. And then this is the Cerulean Blue, which is just starting to dye on the paper, because as it sinks into the paper rather than sits on the surface of it, the colour can dye a bit. But I've got a feeling that's going to look absolutely gorgeous once you mix some white into it. So I'm just going to do a little bit of mixing and I'll show that to you next, and that'll probably be boring you to death, so you won't need any more. Okay, I'm going to do some mixing with my finger, obviously, because, you know. So, things are mixing going on. My summary of this brand I can't pronounce is that the colours are far more translucent. You see you've got the paper coming through here on this one because there isn't the viscosity, whereas with the Madder Rose with the Jacksons you've got far more viscosity and coverage. So this actually, because it's got that transparency, will be nicer in different circumstances than this one, because this one is going to be more difficult to sort of like make thin without adding more water, and then sometimes you lose the pigment by adding more water to it, whereas here we're going to get the purity of the pigment without adding water if we want a nice thin layer. So yeah, that's really interesting to look at the two different qualities of the paint. And then it's almost like you can tell it's this brand because, again, look at that thinness. And there's something really nice about thin paint because you can see the colour of ground underneath. In this case, the colour of the ground is the off-white of my sketchbook, but that means that it has its own beauty to it. And can you see the colour underneath that when it was put on dry, that's now cutting through. And that's like a bit like layering and glazes, so it's had that kind of effect, like a glazing effect. So although there's greater translucency to it, which it doesn't say there is, there's nothing on the label to say that it's more or less translucent. I'd probably have to look into it to be absolutely sure of that. It has an interesting quality to it, but I still think that should have more red in it. And then look at that, Cerulean Blue. Oh, that's a nice colour, isn't it? That's beautiful sky colour. So I'm going to play around with that today. I'm going to put that into a painting today. And that's the Winsor & Newton Professional Acrylic. And I got a really big thing of it, and I have no idea how much it cost. It cost me. Ooh, do I have it on here? Hang on. The price of, where is it? Professional Cerulean, £15. I'm very impressed with that, because that pigment is going to go a long way. It's going to take me a hell of a long time to get through that Cerulean Blue, because you're not going to use it neat. That's incredible. I know paint's expensive, but that's incredible value for money, especially when you think, and I'm not complaining of it, and I wouldn't do without it, that's £5 to £6. That could last me one painting. That's going to last me an awful lot of paintings. Different quality, it's a different beast, it's a different animal altogether. But for that kind of blue, instantly out of the tub, I'm really impressed. So, I hope you found that useful. I didn't actually mean to do a quality control testing of the paints with you, or a review. There you go, I've just done a review. And I didn't even mean to, an accidental review of the paintings, of the paint. And hopefully yeah, you can dive into your paint box of tricks, and see what you've got, and test out viscosity and colours and colour palette, and do it with your fingers, because, you know, who needs a brush when you've got these? Anyway, I've definitely got to go now, because I've got to paint and I'm definitely procrastinating. So I'm going to shut up and I'm going to go, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.